Wrong, wrong, wrong. How can you hate on this game? Built for mouse and keyboard and a wholesome family environment where it's bring your kids to work day every day. Here, son, animate this explosion on your Chromebook. Good job. Emotional damage is guaranteed, whether it's from your wife's boyfriend breaking up with her or that one plangent song looping throughout this game for hours on end, along with completely original ideas that have never been done before.
I see you.
And the protagonist that is so strong, she can swim almost as well as any character in Warframe. That is to say, so long as you enjoy swimming in puddles, you'll be absolutely fine. There are dangerous golems everywhere, and if you're not careful, they will be the end of you, but death comes from all angles, and the solution? Never wash your hair again, and it will become a source of awesome power, whether it's the hair between your cheeks or from your dusty scalp. Enemies will learn to fear Emma, but what about the story? Who could hate that? Let me tell you, it is a tense affair where you are the world's only hope of stopping a ferocious monster that threatens to envelop the world. And once you agree to this mighty quest, you have to run for your life for now and save a young girl in the process.
Shut your fucking mouth, you'll do nothing. You'll do fucking nothing.
Look at how wrong these reviews are. 1.9 hours played. You don't know what you're talking about, pal. Combat feels flat and repetitive. Are you kidding me? Okay, yeah, maybe they've got a point. Right, let's get to the meat and potatoes and review this properly. I don't know what people are seeing on console, but on PC, this game is far from perfect. Graphically, it is a little unfocused throughout, but perhaps that's just the sophisticated art style, or it's just complete trash. Fanboys and defenders of this slop can cry about my poor setting choices in the comments. I recommend avoiding mouse and keyboard entirely, even though I did it for 8 hours straight. It is a pain in the plums. All that really needs said here is that you cannot bind the dodge key to the thumb mouse buttons. Controller was actually fine, but both input methods have to endure some of the most awful camera angles that you will ever experience in a game, and it had me begging for the chat commands from my last video. /FOV120! Now perhaps this title was made for those whose testosterone has leaked down their legs, and that could well be the reason I enjoyed the first half of it. But let us continue, for we do not embark on our journey alone, because in our scrapyard conversion of a Boston Dynamics robot contains our family, or a Star Wars hologram constantly in your lug hole trying to explain humanity to our lobotomized protagonist who needs to learn basic human etiquette. We've got Captain Brad, a slave who will cook all your meals, and of course, Koo, who can aid you in combat by interrupting your perfect flow so that you can peruse a menu of garbage to fling at your enemies. Koo can also find things for you that you're perfectly capable of spotting yourself, like, say, a freaking campsite right in front of your eyes, but Koo will also occasionally spot incredibly valuable items that are apparently on another plane of existence, or at least beyond my horrific eyesight that has been made worse, by the way, because I was emerging from caves to daylight that burned the retinas right out of my skull. But dare ye look upon the crescent moon in the sky that is about a tenth as bright? Well, in that case, I sentence ye to death. Where was I? Yeah, right. Koo, ever faithful and sometimes drops you ambered-flavoured Doritos at your feet. Ah, yes, man's best friend, am I right? Well, where were you on that one, dipshit? Am I going to do nothing but take a giant crap on this game? Yes! Well, no, actually, it is quite fun, and I think that while we have become accustomed to hating anything less than an 8 out of 10, just due to how much competition is out there, I bought this fully intending to refund it after 2 hours, but I am glad I stayed long enough to experience everything it had to offer. That is, until I experienced everything it had to offer. The dialogue in this game is an absolute joke due to grandiose, self-indulgent spacing between the spoken lines. The conversations were about as compelling to follow as the thought of sitting on a Judas cradle.
心も痛まぬのだろうな。
哀れみって
Someone needed to take a sword half as sharp as the dozen that you pick up and then cut this game down by about 60%. You fight a boss and it runs away. Guess what? You're going to fight it again, and then when you take his health bar all the way down, it's going to grow some flowers this time. Oh, you're in for a real fight now, but no, you're not. Not a goddamn thing changes. At first I was thinking it could be a bit of Nier Automata in here, some Sekiro-esque moments, the Souls-like elements of here's your campsite, rest at it and reset your enemies while you're doing that. But it isn't really like any of those games because it's just a feature here and then a yakety yak there. You've got a skill tree and it's in the shape of an actual tree, and it looks like you can have lots of tough decisions to make for a unique playstyle, but all I can say is that you're just going to get heavily showered with skill points as you play the game. At no point did I ever look at my skill tree and salivate for the moment I could reach a certain skill, and while new abilities means the combos become more varied, those abilities unlock with every boss you down, which just makes the button mashing that much easier because there's more chances of you pulling off something cool. No, you don't need to type a comment about how it's a skill issue for me. I know, actually, I'll take your engagement. Hit me. But well, let's say something positive, damn it. Okay, fine. Parrying is fun. Probably the most satisfying part of the entire game, and it is confirmation that when everything else sucks in life, then ching ching ching, it makes it all better for a short while until you die like a chump from consecutively failing. Yes, another cell phone. I don't care. The swordplay is okay, but I wanted to be mounting these great beasts more. Guys, just behave yourselves. Now look, you can grapple to them, but I wanted to be running on their backs, fighting weak spots, popping blisters, or interacting with them in ways that didn't mean constantly getting swallowed by the camera angles. There are also opportunities for general stealth and ranged combat when you're running around the maps, and I enjoyed creating my own ecosystem while sneaking. I've read a few reviews and people said that there's not enough enemy types. They might be right, but I didn't mind this because it is golems and beasts. But with the former, they're armed with bows, swords, two swords, tridents, axes, sword and shield, and they've even got suiciding bots that Ku's heightened senses weren't ready for. Bad dog! Amidst the combat, there is preparation to do in between missions. You can mess around with production inside the walker, have chickens, grow plants, get your slave to feed you, and wash off all that blood from the day's murder. Sounds expansive, doesn't it? But I can tell you, it really is not, because unless you plan on going back to Boston Dynamics HQ a few times per zone, things feel superfluous at best. As for being drip-fed the consciousness of our protagonist as their ethereal soul floats through our reality, all I can say in a spoiler-free way is that the conclusion of this game had me rolling my eyes. There's a few bugs here and there where you're gonna jump somewhere you can't land and the game just fades to black in the same way it does if you find yourself in knee-deep water. Some things just don't work as well as they should, and aerial combat is a huge risk due to the camera angles being completely trashed, but every minute that I spent past the 10-hour marker, well, let's just say it was done in the service of bringing you this video. You're welcome. But look, far be it for me to take the jam out of somebody's donut. If you enjoyed this game, all the more power to you, and I shrugged many I hated it, for things like, well, let's just say those who chastised me for enjoying Assassin's Creed Shadows.
What's wrong with you?
I wish you the best if this is your cup of tea, but if you're on the fence, do not buy it at this price, as all you're going to see is unfulfilled potential amidst a sea of long, sullen silences between the characters who are trying to carry the protagonist on their backs. I'd love to be a voice actor where the director says to me, okay, now just imagine you have no soul. Easy, I'm your guy. I played Apex Legends for 7 years. If I had to give this a rating, it would be 4 out of 10. The first 2 hours were more like a 7, but by the 10-hour marker, it had dropped to a 6, and then the disappointment just slowly continued. But this, of course, is just my opinion. Take it easy, catch you on the next one. Later.
わかった。